My beloved brothers and sisters, there are souls right now who feel like they are reaching their limit, not because they are weak, but because they have been strong for too long without relief. She held it together when no one noticed, stayed silent when her heart was heavy, kept going even while falling apart inside. And then came a moment where she felt she had nothing left to give, no energy, no answers, no strength. But understand this, that moment was not her end, because when she felt like she was breaking, Allah was already fixing what was falling apart and rebuilding her into someone stronger than before. There are times in life when everything feels overwhelming, as if too many burdens have gathered at once and your heart no longer knows how to carry them. You may find yourself confused, emotionally exhausted, and quietly struggling with thoughts that you never expected to face. It can feel sudden from your perspective, as though everything changed without warning, leaving you wondering why things reached this point. What needs to be understood is that nothing in your life is sudden in the knowledge of Allah. Every moment you go through, including the one where you felt like you were breaking, was already known. Before the pain became heavy, before your strength started to feel like it was fading, and before you reached that point where you felt you had nothing left to give, Allah already knew that moment would come. Human beings only see what is in front of them. You experience life step by step, reacting to what happens as it unfolds. Allah, however, sees your entire journey in a complete and perfect way. He knows where you began, where you are now, and where you are going. Because of this, what feels unexpected and difficult to understand for you is always within His control and wisdom. This understanding changes the way you view your hardship. When you realize that your breaking point was already known, it becomes clear that it was not random and it was not meaningless. There is a purpose behind it. Even if that purpose is not immediately visible to you, the difficulty you experienced did not enter your life without reason, and it did not come without a path forward already prepared. There are moments when a person feels alone in their struggle, believing that no one truly understands what they are carrying inside. You may keep your pain hidden from others, choosing silence over explanation, because words feel too limited to express what you are going through. Even in that silence, you are not alone. The one who created you is fully aware of what is in your heart, including the thoughts you do not share and the emotions you try to manage on your own. It is important to understand that the limits you feel do not define your true capacity. Allah knows your strength better than you do. He knows what you can handle, even when you begin to doubt yourself. The moment you felt like you were breaking was not a sign that you had reached an impossible situation, but part of a process that is shaping you in ways you cannot yet fully see. Sometimes reaching that point creates a shift within a person. It changes how you think, how you feel, and how you connect with Allah. It removes distractions and forces your attention toward what truly matters. Your reliance becomes deeper, your awareness becomes clearer, and your understanding of your own life begins to grow. The difficulty you experienced is not the final outcome. It is part of a larger journey that is still unfolding. What you felt was not meant to leave you in a state of weakness, but to guide you toward a stronger and more grounded version of yourself. Even though it may not feel like it right now, there is movement happening beyond what you can see. Holding on to this understanding brings a sense of calm to the heart. When you know that your struggle was already known, it becomes easier to trust that there is also a resolution already prepared. Your current situation does not define your future. And the moment you thought would break you does not determine where your life is heading. The one who knows the exact point where you would feel overwhelmed is also fully aware of how to bring you through it. This is not the end of your journey, and it is not a place where you are meant to remain. It is a part of your path that carries meaning, even if that meaning becomes clear later. Remain patient and continue to trust, because your life has never been outside the knowledge and care of Allah. There are moments in life when a person feels like everything inside them is collapsing. It is not always visible to others, but within there is a heaviness that becomes difficult to carry. You try to stay composed, you try to keep going, but the pressure builds to a point where you feel like you are no longer able to hold it together. In those moments, it is natural to think that something has gone wrong, that this breaking is a sign of weakness or failure. You may question yourself and wonder why you reached this point, especially after trying so hard to remain strong. What needs to be understood is that this breaking is not meaningless. It is not a sign that you have been abandoned or left without support. There are times when a person is brought to that point because something deeper is taking place within them. When everything feels stable, it is easy to rely on what is familiar. You depend on routines, on people, and on the sense of control you think you have. But when that stability is shaken, your focus begins to shift. You start to see things differently. You begin to recognize what truly matters and what does not. The breaking removes layers that were holding you back. It exposes what was hidden, both in your circumstances and within your own heart. It brings clarity to what was once confusing. Even if that clarity comes through discomfort, there are parts of a person that cannot grow without pressure. Patience, resilience, and trust are not developed when everything is easy. They are built when you are placed in situations that challenge you, situations that force you to endure, to reflect, and to adjust. The feeling of falling apart often comes just before something new begins to take shape. What you are experiencing is not the end of your strength, but a transformation of it. The strength you had before may no longer be enough for what lies ahead, and so you are being prepared for something greater. This preparation is not always comfortable. It requires letting go of certain expectations, certain attachments, and sometimes even certain versions of yourself. That process can feel like loss, but it is also making space for something better. Many people look at their breaking point and see only pain. They focus on what has been lost, on what has changed, and on what feels uncertain. With time, they begin to understand that this moment was necessary. It redirected them, it refined them, and it gave them a strength they did not have before. Your experience is not separate from purpose. It is part of a process that is shaping you into someone who can handle more, understand more, and move forward with greater awareness. Even though it may not be clear right now, there is meaning behind what you are going through. The breaking you felt does not define you as weak. It shows that you reached a point where change was required. It marks the beginning of something new, even if that new phase is still forming. Hold on with patience and trust, because what feels like the end of your strength is often the beginning of a stronger version of yourself. There are moments in life when things leave you in ways you never expected. It could be people you trusted, opportunities you were certain about, or plans you built with so much hope. When they disappear or fall apart, it creates a deep sense of loss that is not easy to explain. You may find yourself asking why it happened. You may go over the situation again and again in your mind, trying to understand what went wrong or what you could have done differently. The pain of losing something important can make you feel unsettled, as if something essential has been taken away from you. What needs to be understood is that not everything that enters your life is meant to remain in it. Some things come for a period of time and then leave once their purpose is complete. This does not make the experience meaningless. It simply means that its role in your journey has ended. When something leaves, it often feels like a loss at first. With time, it becomes clear that its absence created space for something else. What you once thought you could not live without slowly becomes something you learn to move beyond. Your perspective changes, your priorities shift, and you begin to see your situation with more clarity. Holding on to what has already left can make the process more difficult. It keeps you attached to what is no longer part of your present. Letting go does not mean you forget or that you do not value what was there. It means you accept that its place in your life has come to an end. There are times when what leaves was never aligned with your long-term well-being. You may not have seen it clearly at the time, but its removal protects you from outcomes that may not have been good for you. The difficulty lies in recognizing this while you are still experiencing the pain. As you move forward, you begin to understand that your life is not defined by what you lost. It is shaped by how you respond to that loss and how you continue your journey afterward. What remains with you and what eventually comes into your life will be what truly aligns with your path. It is important to trust that your life is not being emptied without reason. When something is removed, it is part of a process that is guiding you towards something more suitable for you. Even if that is not immediately visible, it does not mean it is not there. What has left your life has done so for a reason. Even if that reason is not yet clear to you, your journey is still continuing, and what is meant to be part of it will remain. What is meant to reach you will come in its proper time. Allow yourself to move forward with patience and trust. You are not being left with nothing. You are being guided toward what truly belongs in your life. There are times in life when the pain you carry feels constant, as if it has settled into your days and followed you into your nights. It is not always loud, but it is always present. You continue with your responsibilities, you speak to people, you try to maintain a sense of normality, yet inside there is a weight that does not seem to lift. In those moments, it is easy to view pain as something negative, something that should not be there. You may wish for it to disappear quickly, to be replaced with ease and comfort. You may feel frustrated that it has lasted longer than you expected, and you may question what purpose it could possibly have. What needs to be understood is that pain is not always meaningless. It often carries a role that is not immediately visible. While it is uncomfortable and difficult, it can also be part of a process that is shaping you in important ways. Pain has a way of slowing you down. It forces you to pause, to reflect, and to notice things that you might have overlooked when everything was going smoothly. It brings attention to what truly matters and helps you recognize what needs to change within your life. Through pain, a person becomes more aware of their inner state. You begin to understand your emotions more clearly. You start to recognize your limits, your strengths, and the areas where growth is needed. This awareness is not something that develops easily without challenge. Pain also deepens your sense of patience. When things are difficult, you learn to endure. You learn to carry yourself through moments that test your resilience. This patience becomes a strength that remains with you long after the difficulty has passed. There is also a form of clarity that comes with pain. Situations that once seemed important may no longer hold the same value. Relationships, priorities, and goals become clearer. You begin to see what is beneficial for you and what is not, even if it takes time for that understanding to fully develop. It is important to recognize that pain does not last forever. While it may feel long and intense in the moment, it is part of a phase that will eventually pass. What remains after it passes is the growth that took place during that period. On their difficult moments, and realize that those experiences changed them in ways that comfort never could. They became more thoughtful, more aware, and more capable of handling future challenges. The pain they once wished would disappear quickly became something that contributed to their strength. Your experience is not separate from this process. Even though it may not be clear right now, what you are going through is shaping you. It is refining your perspective and preparing you for what lies ahead. The pain you are feeling is not empty. It is part of a process that is working within you, even if you cannot fully see it yet. It is contributing to your growth, your understanding, and your ability to move forward with greater strength. Remain patient and continue to move forward, because what you are experiencing now is not the final state. It is a phase that is doing its work, guiding you toward a better and stronger version of yourself. There are moments in life when a person slowly begins to feel alone, even while surrounded by others. It is not always about physical absence, but about the absence of understanding. You may speak, but feel unheard. You may try to explain, but feel misunderstood. And gradually, a realization settles in that the people you thought would stand with you are no longer able to carry what you are going through. That moment came quietly. It was not sudden, but something that built over time. One by one, the support she relied on began to fade. The people she turned to were no longer present in the same way. The comfort she expected was not there. The reassurance she hoped for did not arrive. What once felt familiar started to feel distant. This creates confusion. You begin to question what changed and why things are no longer the same. You may feel disappointed, even hurt, because expectations were not met. You may wonder if you did something wrong or if you could have held things together differently. The situation becomes clearer. It becomes less about others and more about what you are being guided toward. When everything else falls away, your attention shifts. The distractions reduce and the space that remains begins to reveal something deeper. She found herself turning inward, reflecting more than before. Without relying on others, she began to search for a different kind of strength. She started to recognize that the support she had been looking for externally could not always be provided in the way she expected. This realization is not easy. It requires letting go of certain expectations and accepting that not everyone can understand your journey. It involves coming to terms with the fact that some paths are meant to be walked without the support you once depended on. This stage is not without purpose. It allows a person to reconnect with what truly matters. It encourages a deeper level of reflection and a more sincere connection with Allah. When everything else is removed, what remains becomes clearer and more meaningful. She began to notice that even in the absence of people, she was not truly alone. There was a sense of presence, a form of support that did not depend on circumstances. It was not always loud or obvious, but it was steady and constant. Her prayers became more focused. Her thoughts became more sincere. The connection she developed during this time was different from before, stronger and more grounded. It was no longer based on convenience or habit, but on genuine reliance. Through this process, she discovered a form of strength that did not depend on others. It was a strength that came from within, supported by a deeper trust. The absence she once feared became a space where growth could take place. When you find yourself in a moment where you feel like you have no one left, understand that this moment carries meaning. It is not a sign that you have been abandoned, but a stage where your focus is being redirected. You are being guided toward a connection that is not limited by people or circumstances. You are being shown that your strength does not come from what surrounds you, but from what is within you and your relationship with Allah. This phase may feel difficult, but it is also transformative. It teaches you independence, patience, and a deeper sense of trust. It allows you to build a foundation that is not easily shaken. Remain patient through this stage and continue moving forward. What you are experiencing is not emptiness, but preparation. It is shaping you into someone who can stand firm regardless of what changes around you. You will understand that when you felt like you had no one left, you were being guided toward the one who is always present. There are moments in life when you wait for something around you to change. You expect your situation to improve, your circumstances to shift, or people to behave differently. You hope that once those external things are fixed, your heart will finally feel at ease. But what often happens is something very different. The situation may remain the same for a while. The environment around you may not change immediately. The challenges you are facing may still be present. Yet, slowly and quietly, something begins to change within you. It was subtle. You may not even notice it clearly. Your reactions begin to shift. The things that used to affect you deeply no longer have the same impact. The thoughts that once overwhelmed you start to lose their intensity. You begin to respond with more patience. You find yourself thinking more clearly. The heaviness you once carried does not feel as overwhelming as it did before. This kind of change is not loud. It does not come with a sudden announcement. It happens gradually, through your experiences, through your reflection, and through your connection with Allah. Your understanding deepens. You start to see your situation from a wider perspective. What once felt like a problem without a solution begins to look like a part of a bigger process. Your expectations also begin to shift. You rely less on people and more on your connection with Allah. You stop expecting immediate outcomes and start focusing on maintaining steadiness within yourself. This inner shift is powerful because it is not dependent on what is happening around you. It is something that stays with you regardless of your circumstances. Even if the situation remains difficult, your ability to handle it improves. There is a calmness that begins to develop. It is not the absence of difficulty, but the presence of stability within you. You begin to feel grounded. Even when things are uncertain, This is where true strength lies. It is not in avoiding challenges, but in becoming someone who can face them without losing balance. It is not in controlling everything around you, but in developing control over how you respond. The change within you also affects how you view your past. Situations that once confused you start to make more sense. You begin to understand why certain things happened and how they contributed to your growth. Your outlook on the future becomes more balanced. You no longer feel the need to control every outcome. There is a growing sense of trust that things will unfold as they are meant to. When this internal change begins, it is a sign that something meaningful is taking place. It shows that you are not the same person you were before. You are becoming more aware, more patient, and more resilient. This transformation is valuable because it prepares you for what lies ahead. It equips you with the ability to handle future challenges with greater understanding and composure. Even though it may feel like your external situation has not changed much, this inner development is a major step forward. It is a foundation that will support you in ways that temporary ease cannot. Remain patient and continue nurturing this change within you. Over time, you will see how this inner strength influences your life in a positive way. What has changed within you is not small. It is a quiet but powerful transformation that will continue to guide you forward. There are situations in life where a person tries everything within their ability to fix what is broken. You think about it constantly, you try different approaches, you make decisions, you seek help, and you put in effort again and again. Yet despite all of that, some things remain unchanged. This can be one of the most difficult feelings to carry. You begin to feel helpless, as if no matter what you do, the outcome is not moving in the direction you hoped for. It can affect your confidence, your peace of mind, and your ability to see a way forward. For her, there came a point where she realized that what she was trying to fix was beyond her control. It was not something that could be solved through more effort, more thinking, or more planning. The situation required something greater than what she could provide on her own. Reaching this understanding is not easy. It requires letting go of the belief that everything depends on you. It means accepting that there are limits to what you can do and recognizing that some outcomes are not in your hands. When she reached that point, her focus began to shift. Instead of exhausting herself, trying to control every detail, she began to place her trust in Allah. This did not mean she stopped trying where effort was needed, but she stopped carrying the burden of trying to control what was never hers to control. With this shift came a different kind of calm. The situation itself did not change immediately, but her relationship with it did. She was no longer overwhelmed in the same way because she was no longer trying to carry something that was too heavy for her alone. Changes began to happen in ways she did not expect. Solutions appeared where there were none before. Paths opened that she had not considered. The outcome started to take shape without the struggle that once consumed her. It became clear that what she could not fix on her own was being handled in a way she could not have arranged herself. The result was not only a resolution to the situation, but also a sense of peace that came with it. This is an important realization for all of us. There are matters in life that require effort from us, and we are responsible for doing what we can. At the same time, there are aspects of our lives that are beyond our control, and trying to manage them entirely on our own can lead to unnecessary strain. Understanding this balance allows you to move forward with clarity. You take action where it is needed, and you place your trust in Allah for what lies beyond your ability. When you find yourself in a situation that you cannot fix, it does not mean there is no solution. It means that the solution is not in your hands alone. Allow yourself to release that burden. Continue to do what you can, but do not carry what is beyond your capacity. Trust that what needs to be resolved will be resolved in the way it is meant to. What she could not fix was not left broken. It was taken care of in a way that brought both resolution and growth. This teaches us that not every problem is meant to be solved by us directly. Some are meant to guide us toward a deeper understanding, a stronger sense of trust, and a more balanced way of approaching life. Remain patient and continue forward. knowing that what you cannot fix on your own is not beyond resolution. It is simply being handled in a way that is not always visible to you at the moment. If you feel like you have reached your limit, if your heart feels heavy and your strength feels low, understand that this is not where your story ends. What you thought was breaking you was actually shaping you, and what you thought was the end was part of a process leading you somewhere better. You may not see it clearly right now, but things are being arranged in ways you cannot yet understand. Stay patient, keep your trust firm, and continue moving forward with sincerity, because the one who brought you through your hardest moments has not left you, and what you could not fix has already been taken care of.